When it comes to SHTF, just like any other topic, just because something is commonly accepted doesn't necessarily make it accurate or true. With that in mind, today's video is going to take a look at some commonly held SHTF myths versus reality. Stay tuned. Hi folks, Howard here for VP Prepping and Survival, and as I said in the open to the video, today we're going to take a look at some SHTF commonly held myths versus what I think reality is going to look like. And before we even get started, I just want to say, as I just said, this is what I think. This is based on the best information that I have and my application of logic and the facts. You may have a different idea, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you don't agree with me, or if you do agree with me, what you think is going to happen and why, and what your reasons for agreeing or disagreeing are. But don't get nasty. This is just my opinion, in the same way that your opinion is your opinion. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of these myths. Myth number one, we are going to see a complete collapse of society and community of any sort. I don't think this is accurate at all. In the short term, what you're going to see is certainly a breakdown of supply lines, and you're going to see people melt down. That is absolutely true. And you are going to see devastating things happen. Probably a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people will go and join up and bunch up and become looters, marauders, people who are generally terrorizing other people to take what they have, with no concern for other people or for common decency, anything like that. And a lot of the rules of polite society are out the window. That is absolutely true. But at every point in history, I mean, you can look back through so many different nation states, so many different areas where devastating events have happened. And what you don't see anywhere is this complete collapse and breakdown where there is no community, no bunching up of civil people looking to restore order. That's always going to be there. And SHTF, whatever form or fashion that's going to take, is going to be no different than history has shown us it will always be. You're going to see, just like you're going to see looters, marauders, murderers, pillagers, bunching up in groups to try and increase their power, you are going to see communities begin to form. People may, it's going to be a brutal, devastating learning curve, no doubt, but people are going to group up and bunch up. And there's already groups, like the group that I'm involved in, like lots of militia and prepper groups, survivalist groups, all over this country and all over this world that are already together. You've got the seeds are already planted, so community is going to reform. Order is going to be restored, and you're not going to see community just completely go away. I don't think that's accurate. And if that was your opinion of SHTF, I just don't see how that history has proven that that's not going to be the case, that you're going to see the complete breakdown and every man for himself kind of be the theme. I don't think that that's true at all. Myth number two is that we're going to break down into some Mad Max style or Gilligan's Island or caveman type existence where we're not going to have electricity or electronics or any kind of machinery or anything like that. Absolutely, I don't think that's accurate at all. And the reason that I don't think that's accurate, in the short term, you are certainly going to see a devastating break in what we have as a supply means and production means and all those things, because we rely on electricity, we rely on refined oil, those types of things. But the idea that suddenly humanity is going to completely forget how to refine oil, how to make electricity, how to do anything, whether you're talking about solar power, wind power, hydroelectric power, using water, even hand cranking things. The idea that we're suddenly going to forget how to do any of that stuff and we're just going to devolve back into this primitive people who has no functioning electronics or anything like that. And in the long term, and I say this because I've had comments on my videos where I have different types of solar chargers and different types of electronics in my kit, and people will say, well, that's going to be useless in an EMP, or this is a waste, you shouldn't have any of this stuff. Listen, the idea that somehow you're never going to have anything. I had one guy tell me, just as kind of a little background information, that any kind of car mechanic skills are useless because gasoline isn't going to be available and gas breaks down after a short time. Seriously, do you think humanity is going to forget how to refine oil and make it into gasoline? Do you think that we're going to forget how to power things by steam and that there's not going to be intelligent, smart engineers, people around that are going to cob job up stuff that's going to run in different forms and fashions if we don't have gas available, but until, if and when we get gas being produced again. How long it'll be before gas gets produced, or electricity gets produced on some grand scale where it's available to all of us, hey, that's anybody's guess. But the idea that it's gone for good is just crazy, I think. We're not going to be like the cavemen. And the final myth that I wanted to look at, I kind of hinted at it in the first couple of things that we talked about, and that is that SHTF is permanent, that there's no going back from this, that it's never going to be the same. Things are never going to be back to normal, quote unquote. We're never going to have this regular society again. Things are probably going to look very different post SHTF. I absolutely have no doubt about that. But the idea that we're suddenly going to forget, as I said in the last reason, how to use steam power and solar power and make electricity, make new electronics, use coal, any of the things, the natural resources that we have, how to refine oil, that these things are just completely going to go away and we are not going to get these things back, I don't think that's an accurate way to look at things, and I don't think it's realistic. We're not going to all go and be living in the middle of the forest somewhere because everybody's there's no advantage any longer to being in an area where they could produce electricity. I don't think that's accurate. I think you're going to see the communities, as we talked about in reason one, those are going to be the starting grounds for the reformation of the things that are going to help us not living like cavemen, where we start to have different types of whether it's solar power, whether it's steam power, whether it's whatever it is. You're going to see things start to kind of some of the amenities start to return, and things that make our lives easier and more productive are going to start to return. Are we all going to be walking around with cell phones? I doubt it. Are we all going to be sitting there talking to each other? Is the internet going to be around? Probably not, at least not for a very long time, because you're talking about a massive amount of infrastructure. But on a small scale, our lives are not going to look much like the cavemen, and this is not going to be permanent. And eventually, on a world scale, my guess and my best opinion is that you're going to see everything return back to normal, as close to normal as it can get. I mean, things, like I said, will be different. All these types of corrections that take place, these collapses, these events, always bring about some type of change that, and hopefully for the better, that we will recognize things that, areas where we made mistakes, areas of things that we did wrong, and we can improve on that when we get the chance. But the idea that this is going to be forever, and when SHTF happens, we're never going to have a normal type of life ever again, in the sense that the life we enjoy right now, probably not. But in the sense that we're going to be living like cavemen forever, absolutely inaccurate as far as I'm concerned. That's just my opinion on all these things. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you think I'm crazy and I'm way off base, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know that also. I'd love to hear from you. I am Howard for VP Prepping and Survival. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Tumblr, and of course right here on YouTube if you want to check out my channel. Remember, folks, in any survival situation, you don't just want to survive, you want to thrive. Happy shooting, everybody.